Joe is somebody who goes all in everything he does. I would not want to compete against this man in anything. He did the Iditarod dog race on foot. He did, and one thing he made note of is that was one of the most painful experiences he's had was when his eyelids or eyelashes froze together during the race. He did a 135-mile Badwater race, 140.6-mile Ironman, and a 100-mile trail run all in 1 week. And he also has a story about there was a wedding in that week as well that he squeezed in. He had a really successful career on Wall Street, moved to Vermont to start a family with his lovely wife, Courtney, who's actually here as well, which was a surprise. So, hi, Courtney. Just decided to keep on rising to a challenge, started something called the Death Race. And I think the only reason these people are smiling is because either they're setting it up or it's very, very, very early in the race. And now he started something a little more milder called Spartan Race, which this year they'll have over 1 million participants. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Joe Desena.
I was really nervous to do this. How's that volume, all right? I was really nervous, and I sat back there after listening to Jim's speech on memory. I just memorized my whole speech, so I knocked that out. And I'm going to stand like this for the whole speech because of what Kelly said. And then Ben Greenfield just said, hey, just visualize everybody being naked. So that's what I'm doing. It's not really working. You know, you must do the thing you think you cannot do. I didn't say that, Eleanor Roosevelt did, although I wish I had, because I've had enormous roadblocks like all of us in life. But every time I faced one of those roadblocks, I got really lucky in that there was a helping hand, somebody to reach in, pull me over, and teach me a valuable lesson. I learned 9 principles over the last 35 years facing these roadblocks. And today I want to share them with you because I think they're awesome, and I think they could help make all of us awesome. Roadblock number 1, I had a really tough time growing up. I grew up, has anybody seen the movie Goodfellas? You see the movie Goodfellas? I grew up right in the center of that. It was organized crime capital of the world where I grew up. The conversations at dinner were mozzarella and tomatoes, a lot of food conversations, the price of concrete, or who was going in jail or getting out of jail. Somehow that was looked upon as a good thing. Jail was considered college. My dad was doing really well. We lived next to Kennedy Airport. We had a big house. My father had all the latest cars. My sister and I never wanted for a toy. We could have everything we wanted. I was a spoiled kid. My values were all screwed up. In the early 80s, my dad starts to lose everything. Business turns upside down. Buildings are getting repossessed. Debt collectors are calling the house. My family started fighting. My mother and father were fighting over money to the point where my mother ended up in the hospital 3 or 4 times. My world was really upside down. And I sought a mentor. And I found that in my neighbor. And I smile when I say this, and I'll tell you why. My neighbor was the head of the Bonanno organized crime family. And I'm 11 years old, and this guy takes me in, helped me through this roadblock under his wing. And he says, hey, we're going to start a business. You're going to help me clean my pool, and then I'm going to give you the head of the Lucchese family. And one by one, I start to get all these customers. As a young kid, I'm cleaning pools. The first thing he taught me was commitment. If you're going to commit, you got to say what you're going to do and do what you say. If I said I was going to be at, his name was Joe the Ear. If I was going to be at his house 7:15 a.m. on a Saturday, I better fucking be there 7:15, or I could end up under the pool, Second thing he taught me was go above and beyond. Even though I was paid to clean the pool, he said, clean the shed, straighten out the furniture, go above and beyond. And the third thing, which was invaluable to this day, was never complain. Be thankful and be respectful. There were 25 people online that could do work for this guy, and I was getting the work, and I should be thankful for getting the work. So those are 3 valuable principles I'll never forget and really changed my life. My mom was going through some really tough times, and she sought to become a vegan. She started to get into spirituality. She was teaching yoga in the living room. And in Queens, in that environment, with all these organized crime people around and sausage and peppers, it really didn't make any sense. So they ended up getting divorced. My mother was looking for a new age community to move my sister and I that would be more accepting of the things that are really commonplace today, and especially in this room. And so she brings us to Ithaca, and before you know it, I've got pictures of Sai Baba on the wall, even in the bathroom, as guru from India with big hair, and monks living in my living room. My mother's teaching yoga, which again seems normal today, but back then, bringing teenage friends over the house and seeing this, I had to explain why we were getting served branch sandwiches rather than, a normal lunch. So, but my mother taught me this invaluable principle, which was choose your path and stick to it. Doesn't matter what anybody says. And that principle came at the perfect time, because I was about to graduate Ithaca High School. My grades weren't great. Didn't matter because I had this great business with all these organized crime customers back in Queens that I was going to go run. No need to go to college. Bonus, I wasn't going to jail. And my friend John R. Bell approaches me right before graduating high school, and he says, Joe, why don't we go to Cornell? I said, how the hell are we going to get into Cornell? And he says, oh, my dad's a professor. He'll get us in. And so I figured, well, that's the way it worked in the neighborhood. He had a connection. He was going to get us into Cornell. So we both went on our interviews, and we thought we crushed them. And clearly I'm not the smartest guy in the room, because we both got denied. Neither of us got accepted. And so I was definitely going to pack it in and go back to Queens. And his dad sat us down and said, look, I can get you in to go extramurally, which means your classes won't count. You can take 3 classes in the fall. If you do well, they'll probably accept you in the winter for the next semester. So I say to John, all right, here's what we'll do. Come to Queens with me. We'll run my pool business together. By then, I was doing really well. And we'll go to St. John's. We'll take 2 classes at St. John's. We'll learn how to study. We'll get tuned up. And then when we go back to Cornell that fall, we'll crush it. And then we'll definitely get accepted. He said, it's a great plan, but I'm going to Vegas. I said, what do you mean going to Vegas? He said, well, I want to party all summer. If we're going to have to buckle down in the fall, why would I want to work so hard during the summer? And this is where I learned an invaluable principle. While I'm at St. John's that summer alone, because he's in Vegas, we learn about Walter Mischel's marshmallow study. You guys know what that is? No? Back in 1972, Stanford researcher Walter Mischel comes up with this concept of taking kids, putting them in cubicles, and offering them a marshmallow cookie or pretzel. They can eat it now, or if they wait, they get 2. Well, as you can imagine, most kids eat the marshmallow cookie or pretzel. They follow the kids for 30 years. And what they find is the kids that could wait and delay gratification, not go to Vegas, they had better lives, better marriages, better SAT scores, better cars. It was 100% correlated to more happiness and more success in life. So it was an invaluable principle I happened to learn at St. John's that summer. Cornell says no. We go back, we apply again. They say no. John says, I'm packing it and I'm going to Vegas for good. I'm thinking maybe I'll go back to Queens and just run my business. Maybe this isn't for me. I apply again. So now I'm three semesters in. They say no. I'm going to do it again. I'm on my 4th semester, and Cornell's starting to break me, and I'm thinking, college maybe isn't for me. And my mother turns to me and says, look, before you go to Queens and give up school, I teach yoga to this woman, Anita, Professor Anita Racine. She's willing to meet with you. So I'm 4 semesters in. I still haven't been accepted. None of my credits count to this point. She sits down with me and she says, Joe, this is fantastic. I can't believe you've been here 4 semesters. You've been trying so hard. She says, I run a department studying textiles, and I've got 92 women in this department and no men. Do you like textiles? I love textiles. Love textiles. Who doesn't? So to this day, it's been an invaluable education, because my wife and I will see like an old movie and I'll say, oh, I know what year that is based on hemlines. I know everything about dresses and hats. Anyway, I go through my education. I make it to the point where I'm going to graduate, and my last semester they're offering a class on entrepreneurship. I'm sorry. The principle I learned there, I finally get accepted. The principle I learned there is perseverance and persistence. I could have quit like John did. I could have quit before my mother made the connection, but I didn't. I stuck it out. I got accepted. So now I'm in my last semester, and I'm about to graduate, and I find out about this class called Entrepreneurship. And I go into the class, and I think I'm an entrepreneur. I'm going to graduate. I'm going to run my business. Now I'm making about $250,000 a year running this pool business, which is also involved in construction. I've got every organized crime boss as my customer. We've got about 750 customers from Manhattan to Montauk. I'm graduating, I'm going to go run this business. While I'm in the entrepreneurship class, I meet Al Capucci, the only other Italian in Ithaca. And he's about 60 years old, very successful, and he takes a liking to me. He takes me under his wing. And he says, what are you doing when you graduate? And I said, well, when I graduate, I'm going to go run my business. It's doing very well. And he said, well, you should go to Wall Street. I said, I don't really want to go to Wall Street. The 87 crash, people don't really make money on Wall Street. Anyway, I go back, I graduate, I run my business. Every month, for 4.5 years, at the start of the month, he calls me up, Joe, what are you doing? You sell that business yet? You got to go to Wall Street. Now I'm killing it, Al. I met a girl, everything's great. On the 4.5 year, he calls me one day and he says, all right, I want you to buy a stock if you're not going to listen to me. And keeps me on the phone for about 4 hours and convinces me to invest 90% of my life savings up to that point in this security. Open up a brokerage account, I buy the stock. Stock doubles 3 days later. Thinking, I'm going to Wall Street. This is great. I don't know what I was thinking with those pools. So that's where I learned upside downside decision making. This is another awesome principle. The military will call it situational analysis. Here I was super comfortable. I was the boss, running my own business, had all these organized crime customers, and I just made a left turn to get completely uncomfortable and go to Wall Street. Now I'm on Wall Street. I find out to be successful on Wall Street, I've got to entertain people. I've got to be out doing dinners. I've got to do lunches. The more I'm out, the more likely I'm going to get business. Well, most people are doing 3 to 4 nights a week. They're doing their dinners. Well, I'm thinking I could do 7 nights a week. I'll just get people to come out on weekends. But if I do 3 dinners a night, I could do 21 dinners a week. So I started doing 21 dinners a week. Literally, I had waitresses and waiters cleaning the table, making it look like nobody's there before. We do a second dinner, then do a third dinner. Problem was I started to get fat. Literally out of shape, making a lot of money, but I'm not feeling great, not feeling like I'm really accomplishing anything in life. My goal was to make money and not be in the neighborhood that I grew up in and not have a family life like I had. So one day, I'm going into the elevator in our building, and the elevator's busted. So I got to take the stairs. I'm in the stairs, and I'm about 2 flights up, and I see a guy that literally looks like Ben Greenfield or Kelly, like the epitome of the human being. Ripped, cover of Men's Health kind of guy. Got 2 dumbbells in his hand. He's running up and down the stairs. And as we're going up the stairs together, he tells me, this is how I train. I also do these adventure races. Why don't you meet me here at 6 a.m.? So I start to spend time with him in the stairwell every morning for about a year. Start to get in great shape. We're carrying dumbbells up and down. Now he's got me doing adventure races and then Ironmans. And at the peak of it, you heard it before, I'm in Alaska. I'm doing the Iditarod by foot, waist-deep snow, 30 below, and miserable, eyelashes frozen. And that's where I learned a very important principle, which is change your frame of reference and develop grit. What do I mean by that? There is nothing that anyone could tell me at work, bad trade, food not coming out on time, some problem we had in the back office not making payroll, nothing anybody could tell me that was as bad as being in Alaska, 30 below temperatures, waist deep in snow, self-supported, right? It was terrible. And so it's important, I learned, it's really important to take yourself completely out of your comfort zone and be miserable. Do 300 burpees in the morning, take a cold shower, do something that is so bad it makes the rest of the day easy. And that's what I learned there. So I'm doing really well on Wall Street, and I decide, okay, met my wife, we're not going to have a family life like I had. We're going to go find the ideal setting. We're going to get chickens, goats. We're going to watch sunflowers grow while we hold hands. We move to Vermont, we buy this farm. I'm there about 3 days, and I'm pacing back and forth, and I'm thinking, I got to do something. I can't. It's not for me. I mean, the sunflowers and the wife was great, but I need action. So we bought a local general store, and we renovated it. And then we bought a gas station, and we started a wedding business, and we bought the post office. It was so cheap relative to New York. It was stuff for sale. Bought a mountain. And and so we got this town in Vermont, and it wasn't doing it. Everything was losing money, and I just wasn't becoming fulfilled. I mean, we have 4 children now. That was awesome. And in 2010, I've been thinking a lot about my mom and all the people she changed with the yoga and the meditation, even when the whole world was against her. And we started Spartan Race in 2010. And we started to change lives. We'll reach 1 million people this year. We'll be in 130 locations, 20 countries. It's been a massive movement. We get emails every day about how people are no longer going to get divorced, how they lost 50 pounds. I had a guy show up on our farm. Actually, it's funny. One day I offered to the world on Facebook, we have 4.5 million fans. I said, anybody wants to come to Vermont, feel free. And my wife said, you invited 4.5 million people to our house? It'll be fine. One guy showed up, 696 pounds. He lived with us for 18 months. We got him down to 270 pounds. So we're doing it was easy. We tied him to a tree and left him there for 18 months. But basically. But we do amazing things. And what I learned here was you got to be passionate. You got to be passionate about what you do. Because if you're passionate, it's not work. It's easy. You hustle through it. Your customer's excited. You're excited. You get to do things like this. What I found over these 35 years is roadblocks are really obstacles. Nobody knows more about obstacles than I do. We're in the obstacle racing business. We're doing it all over the world. If you take these 9 principles and you apply them to the obstacles you're going to face today, tomorrow, next week, I guarantee you'll be a better monk. You'll be a better organized crime leader, if that's what your plan is. You'll be a better business person, better mom, or you'll get into college. Thank you.